Ali Sarkhosh, he is Assistant Professor and Extension Specialist in Fruit Science, Department of Horticulture, University of Florida from USA. So I will request Dr. Ali Sarkhosh, who is going to speak on, again, pomegranate production systems global scenario. I request Dr. Sarkhosh, please finish in time and start quickly.
Yes, I promised Dr. Sarkhosh that finish in 25 minutes, okay? So thank you for introduction, and I want to thank you for the organizing committee, and in particular Dr. Sharma, for inviting me. I will provide you with some general information about pomegranate, which is important globally, and also provide you with some information that our researcher and our focus can be go to that way in the future. So pomegranate has been used in the long term as a fresh fruit, as you know, and today we see a lot of value-added product in the market. That means it's a profitable fruit for farmer to make money. In Europe, in US in particular, always we pay at least $2 per piece of fruit, and it's very hard to find. So as you can see here, in 2006, a study done in the US, just 5% of US residents tried pomegranate or have tasted fresh pomegranate. And I must say, the aril extraction machine helped a lot to increase this consumption from 5% to 20% in 2017. And this is a good thing to know. So a lot of consumers will be attracted, especially Western people, which is pomegranate has been a hard fruit to eat. So the aril extraction machine help a lot and will help a lot to this fruit will be promoted to the Western culture. So genetic diversity, we know there is an excellent genetic diversity available globally in countries like Iran, India, or Middle East and other places. So researchers need to focus to characterize all this genotype or accession for the future development. So at the moment we are seeing more pomegranate in this type skin color and this type aril, but future consumer need diversity. You know, this is an area that this genotype and need to be characterized, especially in metabolite with the technology that is available, and that can be used. Many of these genotype in the germplasm, I think, has the potential to directly go to the consumer with the really good consumer education and metabolite characterization. So in ornamental area also, pomegranate has a potential area, and we know that. So researchers need to work on this, develop variety for the area for the ornamental, especially this can be an excellent ornamental plant for arid zone, a semi-arid climate, and Mediterranean climate. So at the moment, as you can see here, this is the pomegranate that market is looking for. That is the pomegranate that supermarket will pay a top dollar for this quality. So the weight can be something around 300 or 500 grams globally. That would be really attractive to the consumer. It should be sweet or sweet sour. But I should say that potential exists for the future generation that see pomegranate in different color, as you can see here. And there is a potential that pomegranate in the future can be packed in the aril, those packed aril with different color, as you can see here. I must say that in a lot of Western culture, pomegranate also used as a decorative tools and decorative thing during Christmas or at least any ceremony that they might have. So there is a potential for there that this fruit could be sent to the market with different skin color, different crown shape and form that can be used for such an event. So soil, many of us know that pomegranate is sensitive to the soil condition, especially waterlogging. As you know, waterlogging in the condition in the soil that is reduce the oxygen level, and that's pomegranate tree generally is very sensitive to this condition. So we need to work in this area to develop rootstock that can handle different soil condition in terms of the soil-borne diseases like Phytophthora, Fusarium, and also Runda nematode. So that genetic diversity can be used in this direction. If we are going to promote pomegranate globally, then we need to provide the tools for the grower that they can grow it in many areas as possible. And rootstock, I think, is something very important that I hope our researchers focus on that in the future. So again, here about the, as you know, pomegranate is very sensitive to waterlogging. It can bring a lot of soil-borne diseases. Phytophthora root, crown rot can kill the orchard in a few years. It's very important to have a strategy to keep all the crown area dry during the growing of this tree. So propagation, we know the propagation is very easy. So anyone can propagate pomegranate, but it's very important that we work with the nursery and nurserymen that they respect to give you a healthy plant. Healthy plant is very important for grower. If growers start with the plant diseases with root knot nematode or with Phytophthora, they actually can lose their farm in the few years. So that's very important, and we don't want to upset growers. So for us, it's very important that push nursery and all the nurserymen to have the liability to give us a right true type pomegranate cultivar, and also be reliable for the health of the material that they give to the farmer. Tree spacing is something that can be actually characterized by the different thing, I should say, the soil condition, the cultivar, the training system, even the mechanization level, the machinery level that you want to use in the farm. That is very important to consider. So training and pruning is very important for pomegranate. As you know, producing high quality pomegranate competitive in the market is, we need to have a really good strategy to train our tree in the first few years of the growing, to establish that tree structure for the next 20-25 years. That's very important and need to be considered. So if the grower or farmer wants to be competitive in the market, then training should be considered seriously, and I will talk about what kind of training and pruning can be considered. So at the moment, I should say that 2 training systems are used by growers around the world. As you can see, multi-trunk, which is, I should say probably 80-85% of farmers around the world in Middle East, India, and some other parts, they use this system. The single training or monotrunk is getting very popular in last decade, I should say. And the goal is of using this system is improve the level of machinery, reducing the labor cost in the orchard, and producing high quality fruit for the market. So that's something that we need to be considered when the orchardist wants to establish a pomegranate orchard. And that's really depend on many factors that you need to consider. Which market you want to go? You want to go sort of mixed juice and fresh market. That probably the multi-trunk would be the way. If you want to go to fresh market and producing high quality, that would be single trunk would be very recommended to producing high quality food. Also, it's really depend what level of machinery you have, what is the labor cost. This going to the single trunk, you need to have a trellis system, and that's the very costly at the beginning, and you need a high capital cost that which need to be considered. So the multi-trunk, as many of you know, that it has some advantage. You need to use less tree per acre. That's the cost saving for the grower, and you will have a lot of fruit per tree and produce high tonnage per acre. But you need to consider that from those high tonnage, probably around 40 or 50% of the fruit will be marketable. The level of mechanization is very hard. It's very hard to use an air sprayer to control diseases or fungicide or foliar application in the multi-trunk system. So this is very important. And also the suckering. This is one of the challenge for the multi-trunk. It has to be done manually. It is very hard to use the sort of machinery to control the sucker by application touch herbicide or some organic product to control sucker. So That needs to be considered. For a country that level of the labor is very expensive, so going to the multi-trunk, that would be a wrong way and very costly. And I think that probably could be very important for India as well, to consider in the future that labor will be slowly getting expensive, and then there would be a lot of pomegranate in the market. The price needs to be low that the farmer can make money, and to making money is important to reduce the cost of production in the orchard. So I don't want to spend too much time on this training system, but I will be happy to, in the future, to provide you with the precise detail how you can go with this direction. And I know you have a lot of experts in India that they really have a good expertise in this area. So if you want to go to the multi-trunk, when you plant the tree in the first year, so you want to leave the tree to grow. And then the second, in the second year, that would be the winter. That's the time to select your multi-trunk. The multi-trunk can vary between 3 to 5 scaffold, as you can see here. It can select it close to the crown, to the soil, or it can actually select it here from, I say, probably 25 centimeter or 1 foot of the trunk. It's sort of like open vest or central open center. If I want to, I can explain it better. So it's very important you do the structure and train the tree in the first 3 years. After that, it would be very hard. If you want to do those sort of things after 6 or 8 years, actually you will reduce the yield, because you want to you put the tree on the vegetative growth, and that would be really costly and also reduce the yield for the few years to make the tree to grow to go to the production phase. So as you can see, the multi-trunk, after 3 years, you will have this structure. And then during that, after 3 years pruning, it would be very important. You don't want to have any productive branch around this area, because about probably 1 meter or 1.2 meter here, because all this fruit will touch the soil, and that's very important for the market. And a lot of international market will need that. Will need the fruit that never touch the soil in terms of the food safety. So here you can see the multi-trunk after 3-4 years. So the winter pruning need to be focused on desuckering, cleaning the trunk area that is always be clean from the water shoot, as you can see here, and also thinning the productive branch. Productive branch, many of you are familiar, need to be selected cleverly around the canopy. You don't want to have a lot of branches crossing together. That actually will damage a lot of fruit and will bring a lot of pathogen, reduce the post-harvest of pomegranate in the storage. So this is the structure of the tree that you want to have after 4 or 5 years. I will show you in next few slides how we can also mechanize, use the machinery to prune the pomegranate in multi-trunk section later on. So monotrunk system that is getting very popular in Europe, in Australia, in some other country, that the level of the labor cost is expensive. So the good thing about this system is efficient in labor. As you can see here, the labor can walk close to this row, do the harvesting, do the fruit thinning, pruning, and whatever. And you can see here, what is very important here, you can see you cannot, in this area, you cannot see any fruit, because it's very easy to manage fruit location on the canopy. You don't want to have fruit around here, because any fruit in this area will expose to sun. And we know that sunburn, actually, the pomegranate damaged by sunburn doesn't have any future, not for juice, not for the fresh market. So again, producing high quality, high level of mechanization, the advantage of this system. The disadvantage, you need a very capital cost investment to install the trellis. And also you will need more tree per acre. And I should say that there is not enough data to see how this system can be profitable in comparison with the multi-trunk. That needs to be that need to be considered. But as you can see, you can produce probably around 85% high quality fruit from this system for fresh market. So again, trellis is important, as you can see, for the hurricanes, cyclone, or any wind to keep the tree. There are some information available how you can install the trellis system that depend of the material in your country. You can use pressurized wood, treated wood against termite, and also galvanized steel that easily is available. Depend of the country, you can use different material to install. So here's something that I've seen in Australia. We use this system for growing pomegranate in Australia on the trellis, as you can see. So how you want to start? Of course, you will plant for the monitoring. You want to start from the nursery. You want to ask the nurseryman 1 year period to start your orchard. Hey, we need this tree or seedling grown as a single, and that's why we want you need to deliver us next year for our orchard. And when you plant them, you will have a single grown plant, and this will be after a few months, just cleaning all the sucker and cut it up around 1 or 1.2 meter to select those main branches or a scaffold for the future of the tree. This would be those scaffold 3 to 5. I recommend to keep probably around 5. Those branches that would be the main branches for growing on the trellis. The structure of the tree after 3 years, as you can see. So you can see a lot of plant here that actually was sort of grain that we plant there for as a cover plant. It's very important to keep the soil healthy for this sustainable pomegranate and keeping using the land in the way that next generation also be able to use it. So here again, you see the pomegranate that we develop, grow after a few years on the trellis system. This plant we actually mulch it, cultivate it, and turn it back to the soil. So in the winter, again, it would be in the single trunk. You need to select those productive branches, remove all the branch in the middle and all water shoot. And you know, pomegranate produce a lot of water shoot. That's very important to eliminate because they are they are absorbing all the material and nutrition and reduce the fruit quality. So you can see here how we did pruning in this system. So here is the benefit for the single trunk. As you can see here, we did fruit thinning here, pruning very good, and harvest around 120 fruit from 4 years, 5 years tree from each plant. 85% of these fruit were marketable, as you can see in the skin color and also the color of the aril. So here we have been working in machinery to use for the mechanical pruning that can be used for very efficient for the multi-trunk system as well. As you can see, this is a cutter blade. As you can see here, it can actually change the angle. It can go with different angle, and you can really use it in the very efficient for hedging, topping in different level and different height. So this sort of thing is very important for the future to reduce the production cost and eliminate labor costs in the orchard. So suckering habit is very important. I don't want to talk about that too much because we know we know how it's important, how it needs to be controlled. So here also, when we go to the single trunk, it's very easy. You can control the weed or sucker. So as you can see here, we use this tractor John Deere, install a spray tank in the front and have a spraying in the back. Spraying, you can see 2 areas of spray. Here, under cover, we use glyphosate or Roundup to killing the weeds between the row. And also in the side, you see we have we install a nozzle to spray sucker with the Paraquat or gramoxone. Gramoxone and Paraquat are dangerous herbicide, and you need to know that. And that's why we use the tractor with the cap. That's very important for the safety of labor on the farm. There are some other product, touch herbicide, that can be used for the desuckering. You need to you know that you don't want to use any systematic herbicide for desuckering. That will probably reduce the age of the tree quickly. So if you want to use the chemical for desuckering, then you will need to also think about any drift can actually put some symptom on the fruit and reduce the fruit quality, which is very important for the fresh market. Fruit thinning, I don't know how you done it in India, but it's very important to produce high quality fruit. As you know, the pomegranate produce flower on the different branches as cluster, as you can see, and fruit thinning must be done for producing high quality fruit. And when you can do it, when the fruit reach to 1 inch diameter to 1 or 2 inch diameter, at this stage you want to go and do the fruit thinning. Why this stage? Because still the tree will have time to put the resource and produce high quality fruit, as you can see here. So cracking has been very important. There are different between cultivar variety, but I want to say one thing is very, very important for the cracking is irrigation and water in the soil. It's very important 3 weeks before the harvest and during the harvest, you check the moisture in the soil. And if you see in the area that you want to have rain or sudden rain, that irrigation can be managed. You want to keep the soil, the moisture in the soil high if you will have a rain. Because if you keep it dry and rain, you will probably lose 70% of the fruit by cracking. So it's very important to monitor the soil moisture in the soil during the harvest and a few weeks period of harvesting. However, other factor can increase the cracking, and I saw a lot of a few scientists talk about it already. So sunburn is a problem in pomegranate. It reduces the fruit quality for fresh market. I mean, again, fruit thinning, it's very good to reduce the level of sunburn by eliminating those fruit that exposed to the sun. So again, this problem you will see it probably in more multi-trunk system, and that's why pruning in the winter is very important to eliminate any crossing branches that they cause the damage to the fruit. So very important to harvest the fruit by harvesting scissor. As you can see, you don't want to send the fruit to the keep the fruit in a storage like harvested, as you can see here. Nice harvesting, always keeping the cutting the stem, make it level to the pomegranate skin will improve the quality in the storage and also the shelf life. That's very important, because a lot of the post-harvest diseases can actually start by the wound on the fruit. So I saw scientists talk about the harvesting as well. Harvesting, of course, needs to be done with the scissor, as I show, for the quality. Then this will go to the bagging, harvesting bag, then transfer to the big bag, and this bag will go to the packing line. And pomegranate is in a lot of countries, the packing line should be very efficient in washing the fruit and then go to the packing for the market. And easily to storage. We have been keeping pomegranate in the storage for 3 months at the temperature of 6.5, and the control atmospheres CO2 and oxygen. That's very easy to manage if you have a good facility for storage. So I put this flyer for our book, not for advertisement. Just thank you all the people that helped us last year to put this book available worldwide. I want to thank ICR Research Center for Pomegranate. A lot of scientists help us with this. I appreciate that. And hopefully, particularly Dr. Sharma, I think she's an excellent asset for pomegranate, not only for India, even for globally for our pomegranate community. I want to thank you for helping us, and hopefully we can work together in the future. So I talk very quickly just to save time. I'm happy to answer any question that you will have for me. And thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali.